Okay, I've got some real interesting things to share with you in this video. So I'm going to show you what I think 1089, what it represents in ancient Egypt. So this one's a real mind blower. So let me let me get into showing you a few things. So I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to pull this up. I'm going to drag this over here. All right, the Ankh. Let's talk about the ancient Egyptian symbol that looks like a cross, but then it also has a loop in it. What is that? What does that mean? What do I think that means? So here's a picture. This is me actually in Karnak, and this is seven gates, so siren gates. You can see the rectangular, like doorways, nested one within the other. And there are seven of them. And this is again Upper Egypt. And let me get the whole slide presentation going. Okay. So you can see a little bit more here. So many of you who have been following the mathematics I've been working on notice that or have the awareness that I identified like two different groups of numbers and the numbers and behavior by doing what is called mere subtraction. So I'm showing you here over here on the left Euclidean kind of geometry. I've listed some numbers over here, and I'm showing you if you take the numbers and you put them through mere subtraction, you'll get a collapse to zero. So this is the 180 minus 18. And then you can go through iterations, or this is 180 minus 81, sorry, going to 99 and so forth. And over here, the group of numbers that I identify a family of numbers that do not collapse into the zero, but they go into like a cyclic loop. So here it's 1089. Again, if you do the mere subtraction, it'll go to 8 and 12, so forth. And you can see these numbers are not going to, they are not going to collapse into the zero. And I've been talking about these numbers for quite some time, and I've been highlighting 1089 for quite some time because it's what I refer to as an attractor. It's the very um, first number that is in the series. So it's considered to be, I call it the jewel because it's like a crystal form, a seed. And I'm going to mention a little bit more about that as we go through. So if you watch some of my earlier YouTube videos, you'll notice there are four mere pairs. I talk a lot about what mere pairs are. And I'm just showing you here the four mere pairs. These are all 1089 multiples. And if you look at them, they're mirrors of one another. 1089, 9801, 2178, 8712. So they're all multiples of 1089. I believe these are all geometric as well, and they are harmonic. And then there's a center number, which is kind of the number that has no pair, but in itself is a palindromic sequence, and that's 5445, the still point. So I'm just kind of showing you these particular numbers. Now, how does anything have these numbers have anything to do with the Ankh? So the Ankh to me, I believe, represents 1089, the live seed. So it's a seed state. It's belongs to this mere family that demonstrates coherency. I'm going to say it's a structure generator, 1089. And you will see that it can go through iterated mirror subtraction. You cannot remove the full asymmetry. It will not collapse. And I think the live seed, the Ankh, is being represented in ancient Egypt, and it's corresponding to this 1089. Did you catch that? Okay. Now here, Daniela and I, as my partner, we are in Egypt. And here, if you look at these considered to be the seven keys, seven keys. It's Karnak. You can count here are the Ankhs. If you're not sure what the Ankh looks like, a lot of people have jewelry that they wear that's an Ankh. You can see it's like got a little handle here. It looks like a little cross here. What is, what's all this shape mean? And if you look closely here and you count these, there are seven. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. The organization here. There's two up here. You could say it's if you want to look at a something like 2/7, or that would be like a proportion. And there's a couple snakes over here that you can barely see as well. My focus is really on this Ankh right here. This Ankh. So this is blown up a little bit more. So traditionally in Egypt, if you read through a lot of the documents, historians have penned the Ankh with the tradition of being a symbol that represents life, living, the breath of life, continuity of life, the passage between states, regeneration, renewal. And in the 363 1089 framework, this life symbol becomes a geometric seed. So why 1089? What do you mean by geometric seed? So just a little bit of geometry. You notice I've kind of taken the geometry and I've placed it into two categories, two groups. Euclidean over here. This is Euclidean geometry is based on using a circle that's 360 degrees. And if you look at the square base pyramid, and you look at it closely, it has four triangles and a square base. If you put a diagonal down the square base, you have six triangles. Equilateral triangle, summation of the internal angles is 180 degrees. So 6 times 180 degrees, you'll get a total internal summation of 1080. So this 1080 is angle. When we talk about angles, we talk about shapes. The universe, from where I see it, Buckminster Fuller stated that the universe does two things. One is angle or shape, and the other one is scale. And here we have 1080 here, and then in the scalar system, we still have six triangles, but the triangles are a degree and a half more. So this 6 times 181.5 degrees is 1089. Here's a snapshot here. Over here, this is not Khufu. I need to fix this. This is Khafre. This is the also in Egypt, in Cairo, and you can kind of see the pyramid that's here. All right. So what's up with the 1080 with the 1089? Like, so I've taken you through in some earlier videos how if you take the scalar circle, you can put a heptagon on the inside. Heptagon has 7 nodes. So I placed that on the inside. If you would go node to node, you would actually draw a heptagon. And the Egyptians were very big on ratios and proportions, and the number 7 was very important for them. I'm going to show you that in a moment. But if we go clockwise, 1 sevens, 2 sevens, 3 sevens, 4 sevens, 5 sevens, 6 sevens, and then we just convert that if we want into decimal point here with you'll notice there's a 6-digit repeat. No 3, no 6, no 9. But what I did was I actually then took the 1089 multiple family and I placed them back onto this scalar circle. And each one of the first 7 1089 multiples fell on one of these nodes. Direct hits. And 1089 falls on the 3rd node, or 3 sevens. It's right here. And then, so after placing the 1089 multiples onto their corresponding nodes of the scalar circle, you can follow the pathway from 1089 to 2178, 3267, 4356, and you will see a 7-pointed star. It's called a heptagram, and it's a 7-3 heptagram because we're going from here starting at 1089, and then 3 nodes away, we go to 2178. You see that 1, 2, 3, and then from 2178, it's 3 nodes away, and you get a 7-pointed star. Looking at the top, we close the cycle at 7623. The individual seed being 1089. So I'm going to show you, because these back over here, mathematically 1/7 could be 2/14. This could be 4/14, 6/14. This 8/14. These are just where I'm reducing them down. And we consider then the odds. Okay, so the odds would be 1/14, 3/14, 5/14, 7/14, and so forth. And I also place these back into the same scalar circle. And then I try to figure out where they're going to fall. 1089 falls at 1/14. All right, so you're saying, okay, a bunch of numbers, heptagons, scalar circles. Is there any relevance to that? Now watch this. This glyph, weighing of the heart. If you watched my other videos, you know I use this glyph a lot. It is a representation of a funerary scene from the Book of the Dead. And you have an individual passing away, and then the individual is being judged. And there are judges. And here in this particular glyph, we have 14 initiates or judges that are on the top register up here. We have Anubis. This is Hunafor or Annie here. And you see there's a weighing going on here. There's a scale. Anubis appears twice. There's a heart, and there's Matt's feather. And the idea here is that if you lived an excellent life, and you were kind and you to other individuals, that your heart will be lighter than a feather. And if that's the case, then you have the ability then to move from left to right over here and then enter the chamber of Osiris, which is the Lord of the underworld, who died and also was reborn. And there's a whole story behind that one. And then, so if we want to look here about this, there's 7 here. If you count the number of gods in here, and there's Amit here ready to devour the heart if you're not coherent. And here's Thoth that's here. Here is, if you look at Horus and the 4 sons of Horus, Isis, Nephthys. So there's 7 over here, 7 over here. There's 14 up here. So 10, 8. So, and then you notice that the first 7 have ankhs. I don't know if you want to call that their knee, but do you see it's the first 7 and they don't show up on 8, 9, 10, 11. And then you see this coloration. There's even numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Or this would be, so this is 2/14 or 1/7. This is 2/7 because it's 4/14. And you can go back and I can show you the heptagon embedded into that scalar circle. And I did the same thing with the odds. Now the odds you notice have two different, coloration patterns, but I'll save that for another video. Right here, so there's 7 onks. And here, right here on the very first initiate, there is the cosmic seed. Right here. Cosmic seed. 1/14, 1089. 1089. Let's go back. 1/14, 1089. Cosmic seed. 7 onks. 7 onks. 7623. You're kidding me. They took a hieroglyph and used numbers, colors to embed the mathematics that are describing the geometric seed of the universe. Gotta love it. You have to love it. There's so much in this clip. I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, let's go a little bit further. I also showed you that if you put that heptagon, which is a 7-pointed structure, it's a polygon in here, that you can actually find 2 more. I showed you in a video. The one that's really obvious to see is the internal one. But you can see there's another one here. There's one on the outside. And then there's actually where the lines here for the star cross. You can see there's 7 other ones. So there's actually 3 heptagons in this structure. 3 times 7 is 21. And number 21 is also important. I want you to keep that in mind as we go through this. So the number 7, do we see it somewhere else? I showed you the 7 Osiris gates and then the keys. And now here we have Seshat, the consort of Tahuti or Tot. And she's got this 7-pointed, star above her head. I think they're trying to tell me something. Here's the Ankh. Here we have so many images in Egypt, and they're carrying this Ankh. And you're like, hey, what is it? It has to be like a little more life, regeneration. Okay, that's interesting. But the 7 Ankhs, completion of the 1089 cycle, 1089 times 7, 7623. Sevenfold grouping. 1 Ankh as the life seed, 1089. 7 times 1089, 7623. Look at this. Completion no. And yes, 1089 is 3 times 363. Or, oh, by the way, 21 times 363, 7623. Look at this. I had to put this one in here. This is Danielle and I in front of those 7 Ankhs in Egypt. So let's look at the shape of this because it looks a lot like a cross. Symbols, so powerful. Symbols are energy. And they're so powerful, corporations use them. Why? Because the symbols can connect back to the invisible space, the grid, and through resonance, you can have an interaction and you can have a flow of energy going back and forth. Energy, companies, It's success. Money, a lot of people say money, but money is energy. The Ankh shape, let's look at it. Because yes, it has a loop. Here, you're going to return. And then there's this other axis here. Okay. So notice that the loop is a closed pathway. And we've got life, breath, and the phase returns to itself. So this is, a cycle, closure, recurrence. And then we've got these, what looks like something that is running vertically, and then something that runs horizontally, almost like a cross. This cross axis we're looking at, I believe, has and represents projection into structured space or form. That is mind blowing. So when you go to Egypt and you see that ankh they're carrying, I want you to think about 1089 because that, I believe, is what it represents. I don't think anyone's going to tell you that. I don't think the historians have that awareness yet. But just imagine now what we're going to start doing with those hieroglyphs when we start, unraveling this. For example, I want to go back. I want you to think of this. In this scene, in this register, watch carefully. Anubis has an ankh, and Horus has an ankh. Two ankhs, 2 times 1089 is 2178. Now, what does 2178 and how does it play any significance in this register? That is what you should be asking yourself. That is going to unravel mysteries that are waiting for us to solve. It's the next jump in consciousness. All right, I'm out. Until we talk again, share this video. It's powerful. It's powerful. Share it, and we'll speak again.